Alright, so what today is we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to actually program the robot to do a program, and then we're going to actually watch it run. There's a couple different methods on running the program. One of them is step by step, so it can go in step by step in the order that you did it, and then it can also do continuous. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to actually program this robot to do our programming that we need to do. So you'll end up using your teach pendant like we have been. And with your teach pendant, what you're going to have is you're going to need to go into underneath the teach. There'll be a spot that says select and menu. Sometimes it's in the menu. If you click on the menu, it gives you some options. We're not wanting those options. So if you hit select, along the bottom, there's type, there's create, there's delete, there's monitor, and then there's some attention and things like that afterwards. But for our purpose, we're going to go ahead and hit the create button, which is F2. So if you hit F2, and you actually create it, and then they're going to ask you for a program name. And for today's purpose, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to make the program, the robot, to just go around the top of that box. Basically, we're going to jog it, it'll go to the top. We're going to start up here at the top here, and we're going to move it down, and we're actually going to trace it around and then return it back to its original spot. And that's where we're going to go. So underneath our program name, there's some options here. You have words, uppercase, lowercase, or option keyboard. If you click on your option keyboard, and then you click on F5 as your keyboard, it'll come up and you'll actually be able to go ahead and enter your name. And so for this case, I'm just going to call it box, or maybe we'll do square. And then we hit exit. And this is actually our name. So now what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go ahead and edit, which is F3. And if you notice, you just have the end button. Well, now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and get our robot where we want it, and it's your jogging method that you know how to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to jog it to you want to be just a little bit above where your square starts. And so what you'll do is you'll run it over there. When you have it about the spot that you want it, we're going to call it the home spot. And so that way, when it returns, it's kind of back in its own position. Okay, so what you'll do is you'll go ahead and hit Shift, or you'll go ahead and hit Shift and F1, and you'll now see that on your screen they'll have the point. It says it's going to be jogged at 0.1, and that's 5% fine. But we're going to go ahead and we'll fix that one later. So then what you'll do, and you'll also notice it says position has been recorded at 0.1. So 0.1 is actually right there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next point. We want to make sure that we're right above where we want to be at. Okay, and that's our next point, so we hit Shift and F1. And now you'll notice on your screen you should have point number 2. And then we're going to go ahead and go up to our next point. So we'll move it forward. And I'm a little bit high, so I want to make sure I raise it. And that's our next point. Then we'll move over to the next spot. That's our next point that we'll use. That's point number 4. Then we'll move back to our next point. And that's our next point that we'll use. And then we'll return back to our next point, which is point number 2. So what you can do is you can just go ahead and say, okay, well, I'm going to put, you could go ahead and record it back to where you want to go to, which we could do that. And we can call that our next point. Sometimes what you can do is you can actually go ahead and put that point in there. And what you can do is, if you notice I have your joint at point, you could actually go up there and say, hey, we already have that as point number 2, so we could go ahead and actually move over. And we want to enter that value and say, you know what, I don't know if I actually made that point where I want it, so I'm going to go ahead and say that was point 2, so you can adjust it. So we're going to enter that value and enter. And so now we know that, hey, I'm going to go start up here at top, go down to 2, come up to 3, go to 4, go to 5, and then we return back to 2. And then what I want to do is I want to make sure that, hey, I want one last point, and I want to make it sure I come back to my original point. So what I can do is I can go ahead and hit Shift. That's 1 again, and notice it says, well, that's 6. Well, I'm going to go change that back to my original spot, which is 1. So I'll go ahead and click on 1, my value, and then enter. Now, so there's 2 options to decide whether or not my program is ran the way I want it to be ran. And so what I can do is I can say, okay, well, there's 2 ways. You can either do step or you can do continuous, which means that you go, you just kind of runs it and runs it and runs it. So to do step, you need to go ahead and click our button, the step button, and notice that it'll highlight in the upper left-hand corner. It says step on your TP. So what you can do is say, okay, well, if I want to jog it, and I want to make sure it works, I can go ahead and go up to Shift after I get to where I want it to go. I'm going to start at number 1, so I can hit Shift. And it comes up to where I want it to go to first. Okay? Then I go ahead and go to the next one. Step again, and it sends me there. And I move it around. And we end up at our stopping spot. Now, if I want to go ahead and say, you know what, I don't like the step, I just want to see if it's going to run, I can go ahead and you take it off your step menu. So you click on step, take it off, and you can just hit Shift and you can hit forward. And it'll run your program until you're at it. Now, when you're watching your teach pendant, what is really nice is that it actually goes in order on what it actually is going to do. So you can always check to see, is my program running the way I want it to run? Now, as you're watching it, you might be like, you know what, I don't know if I really like it where it's at, so I might want to say, okay, let's see if I like it. You know, if you need to stop, or maybe you're like, oh man, you know what, if I hit the step again and I look at it, and I need to adjust it at all. So maybe you're like, you know what, that wasn't off. We can always go back into our program and adjust it. And also, what you can also do when you're adjusting your program is, if you notice, maybe you don't want it 5% fine, maybe you want it continuous. We can also go in and you can do some touching up and editing on those as far as that's concerned. So what I want someone to do, I want a volunteer. Could I have a volunteer come up? Okay. And what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and run through the program, make sure that you like how it runs. Just want to check out, see, you'll hit your dead man like you normally have. You'll hit your Shift. guys, maybe let's click on this one over here, and then hit reset. Okay, and go ahead and hit the shift, and you're going to go forward and your backwards button. So forward and backwards, or just forward button. And then go to your forward, there we go. Okay, and it's going to pause. So if we hit forward all the way through, and that's how it runs. Okay? Questions off that? All right. So what you'll end up doing is you'll go ahead and you'll get into your books, and you'll actually do procedure number, the procedure that's in your book to see also, so you guys can go ahead and check to see if you can make your box also with your program box. Okay? Questions, comments, or concerns off of this? All right.